Okay, I turned it up. Oh, this is beautiful.
Cost of Concordia. Ship of dreams.
Aww.
It's been 8 years. I can still smell the buffets from
Wow,
their
it's so
5
green. It's like uranium. Sorry, I was making sure my pause was on here, but I haven't had a buffet in so long.
Casino and 3-story theater
Wow.
had hardly been used. Ah, the gym, the
I see
day
you riding on the
spa,
treadmill.
the sheets in 1,500 luxurious cabins hadn't even been slept in.
Not once?
Cost of Concordia cost $570 million to build.
What?
And you could tell. You could really tell.
She's beautiful! She's beautiful! I've never been on a cruise, by the way. I've always just thought they were floating malls, so I've never actually been on one. And I feel like I would get bored. And then they put the casino because they know that I'd be so bored that I'd just be willing to spend money for a mild dose of happiness.
I remember it like it was just a few years ago. We had left Civitavecchia, a port in Rome, and we were making our way to Savona. It was day 2 of our 7-day journey.
Wow.
But that ship, she was cursed.
Oh my god.
This isn't the poop boat, is it, chat? Is this the poop boat?
When she premiered, the traditional bottle of champagne bounced right off the side instead of smashing. A bad omen.
Bad luck.
But I'm not the superstitious type.
Nothing could go wrong on Friday the 13th of January 2012,
On the 100th year anniversary of the Titanic, on a ship that's also only safety rated for 2-compartment flooding. Especially not when you have
That's
a
it?
5-star max level captain like Francisco.
I love that noise. I know this is gonna sound inappropriate, chat, but have you ever heard when people said, what sound effect would you give your wee-wee if you got a Bobby and it had to make a sound? Mine would be the Xbox achievement sound.
Scatino. A man who mysteriously rose from head of security to the position of captain within just a couple of years.
he knows exactly what to do in case of an emergency.
What?
For example, when he caused this emergency in 2008,
He
when
looks
he
like an
crashed into a
actor.
port in Sicily. And in 2010, in Warnemünde, Germany, when he was steering a different ship and came into port too fast and caused another collision. I've got a good feeling about this. So let's set the scene. It's a beautiful evening. People are having fun on the slides, drinks at the bar. Antonio Magnotta is playing piano at the restaurant.
Me too.
Martin the Magician is setting up for his show. And the ship is setting up for a little detour. It's called
Where?
a sail by salute. Basically,
Oh my god, I'm sorry, I didn't have subtitles on. I do now.
you get real close to the shore and honk the horn.
Ah!
The locals hate it, but the customers love it, and it's a tradition.
That would be
Scatino,
so
the captain,
annoying.
comes into the dining hall with the lady, Dominica Samorton.
Wow.
Remember this face because you'll be seeing a lot of it later.
Oh, I
Scatino
will?
eats his dinner with her and socializes for a little while. Then he, Dominica, and the maitre d' finish up and excuse themselves. They're heading to the bridge. It's time
They're
for
like little
that
Among
sail
Us
by
characters.
salute. This time, they're going to get closer than ever.
What?
Just 1,500 feet from the island of Giglio.
I've
And
never
how
even
are
heard
they
of that
going to
place.
determine this distance?
Sometimes I realize I'm American whenever geography comes up. Because basically the way America school was, at least in Texas, was we only care about America, F everybody else. I don't know any other countries, nothing. I know nothing.
Well, of course, the captain is going to eyeball it. Apparently, it's not an uncommon thing to do. Scatino turns to the fella steering. His
Oh wow,
helmsman,
he's handsome.
Jacob Ruslibin. First interesting tidbit. Costa Crociere has hired Jacob from Indonesia at a
Whoa.
rock bottom price, and he's a bit of a newbie to the job. In fact, his profession hitherto, a painter and a cleaner.
What? And they thought he could drive the boat? Oh my god.
It's his first time steering a massive ship, and he's very excited. At least, we think he is. It's hard to tell because he doesn't speak English or Italian very
Why? I would want people driving a boat to be able to communicate, man.
very well at all. Off to a good start.
Guys, you should lie on every resume you submit. Never tell the truth anymore. But make sure if you're lying about the job that you had before that business is closed down, so they can't call anybody.
The second in command orders the helmsman to 290. Now, don't be confused by these numbers, they're just the degrees on a compass. At the same time, the captain whips out his cell phone and calls former captain Mario Palombo, who
Hi,
lives on
Mario.
the island. They chat about the safe distance to Giglio's shores. It's all very casual.
Okay.
Anyway, Mario says that the safe distance is between 0.3 and 0.4 miles from shore. The captain is going all in.
It's scaring me. Every video we watched today, it's somebody staring into my soul.
This is not his first sail by salute, so he's confident in what he's doing. We're going closer than we've ever been before.
Oh, I don't want to hear that.
The captain's eyeballing it again. New head
He's like one step away from like licking his finger and holding it up and being like, yeah, I think we'll make it.
of 300, he tells the helmsman. Downstairs, Martin is about to cut his assistant in half.
Oh my
And
god.
of course, that means that there's already a lady inside this box.
Yes.
She's waiting for the cue, and then she'll poke her legs out.
Magic isn't real? Chat, magic's not real? Ugh.
The captain is giving more orders. Pulling gently to 310. Increase speed to 16 knots. Going this fast is going to be a fatal error. But before we talk about that, let's talk about another big problem. Language barrier.
Yeah,
Because
that's
at this
not
point,
good.
the captain says 325, but the helmsman relays 315. So the
I hate learning numbers in another language. It's always so hard.
first officer intervenes and he goes, no, 335,
Write
which
it
is also
down!
wrong. And then the captain clarifies, no, 325.
Just write it
The helmsman
down!
confirms 325. Their poor communication has them moving at a much wider
Do people who drive boats not have pen and paper? Just write it down!
angle than they think they are. However, the captain should and would know this, except for the next problem. Complacency about procedure.
Oh god.
The standard procedure of a ship this large is for the third officer to give exact positional coordinates every time the captain
He's a
gives
girl
a new
boss.
directional order. But they're not doing that.
Uh-oh.
330, he says. The helmsman relays 330. The ship reaches 16 knots. The captain then turns to the second officer and instructs him to go to the left wing.
Oh no.
That's these things here, and they basically exist so you can get a better view over the whole vessel.
Oh wow. It's what's the
few
property
seconds
value?
pass. And then, the mood starts to turn.
Iceberg!
Scatino notices white foam of waves breaking against the rocks directly in front of him in the distance. The Cost of Concordia, right now, is almost 700 meters closer to the rocks than it should be. Without deviation, there is going to be a direct collision.
Is anybody like reporting this? Like there's nobody just like looking and they're like, you know what? It's all fine. They know what they're doing.
Oh, shit!
Scatino immediately commands the ship to start turning away. 335. Not enough. The captain shouts, 340. The captain
gonna have
yells,
to, like, whip it.
350. Now, remember how I said that accelerating to 16 knots was a fatal error? Well, that's because it's made this ship incapable of such a drastic turn. What they've got is understeer. Here's an example.
The front end is not working. You're turning, and you're just going straight. You want to go over here, but you're going to end up over here.
So despite the order of 350, right now the bow is still only pointing at 327. Not nearly enough to miss the rock.
Yeah, they're gonna have to like Tokyo drift that.
And oh no, it's about to get worse. That language barrier again. In these critical moments where every second counts, the helmsman wrongly relays 340.
No, write it down, please.
The captain snaps back, 350 starboard or we end up on the rocks. The third officer goes to assist the helmsman.
Okay, thank God.
Now, don't get confused by the orders from here. We're changing over to rudder instructions.
Whoa.
The captain yells, starboard 10, starboard 20, and still it's not enough. Hard to starboard. That means as hard as it'll go. But at this point,
Wow.
even if they clear these rocks, they need to get the rest of the ship to swing around it.
Yeah, wait, how long does it take to like turn that? Because they're just so big. That would take forever. It's like whenever you park, when people like park on train tracks and they're like, well, you know, maybe the train will stop. It's not stopping. It can't stop.
So the captain yells, midship, which centers the rudder. The bow is now less than 150 meters from Skull Rock. Port 10. But the helmsman only gets to port 5 before another order is given 2 seconds later. Port 20. They might
we'll just go to 20.
avoid disaster here, maybe. But then, oh no.
Oh,
One more time, the helmsman cocks up at the worst possible moment. The helmsman goes to starboard instead of port.
I knew that was gonna happen, man. Please. At this point, they just need to hold up, like, those signs you see in Mario Kart that tell you which way to go.
Undoing.
At this point, he's basically just, like, holding his hands up, and he's like, which one is left?
The swing. 8 seconds later, he realizes the error and corrects, but it's too late. He has just turned a probable near miss into a sure hit.
Awesome,
All they can
man.
do now is hold on as the bow of the ship narrowly passes by the rocks. Hard to port. The second officer yells, we're gonna hit. Collision.
Oh! They need help from Lakitu. They need Lakitu to pick him up. Now my water! Wait, what about my girlfriend in the box? My olive oil. Oh no. Why me? Why?
The ship hits rocks on the port side. A 53-meter gash opens
Hopefully
up
the
in the
girls,
hull,
when I tell them I'm Diamond
thousands
and
of
Marvel
tons
Rivals.
of water begin pouring in. A loud scraping and bang is heard by all passengers. At the helm is panic. Rumblings in the dining room. Martin awkwardly pauses his act as
Thank
he's helping
God.
his assistant into the box. Meanwhile, the lady inside is trapped and terrified. There's confusion across the ship. All of the crew off shift come back
I
on
thought she was
duty.
gonna die.
All officers run to the bridge. Technical crews run down to the lower decks to assess
Run!
damage. On connection with the rocks, they lose propulsion and slow to 8.3 knots. And they are now adrift. Close the watertight doors at stern. Enormous volumes of water are pouring in.
They can close the doors
So
with a
much so
switch.
that within 29 seconds of collision, all 6 engines stop working. for
Oh my
float.
god!
22 seconds later, a blackout happens. Lights, electrics, the water pumps too. Everything. The captain orders the helmsman hard starboard.
Oh no! I know this is such a weird, like weird thing to think about, but imagine you were taking a shower. That would be scary. I've always been afraid of showers, not because I'm like a stinky poo-poo head, but because like my grandma told me one time she was taking a shower and a lightning strike hit and it zapped her.
This is the final position of the rudder before power to that too is lost. The Cost of Concordia, now without power, is drifting starboard.
Oh my
Plunged
god! It's just
into absolute
freeborn.
darkness.
Normal League player. No! I gave up League yesterday. I told you that.
When the Concordia struck land, it tore open 3 watertight compartments. At first, compartment 5, which filled very rapidly.
They
then
fill
6
so
more slowly,
fast.
4 shortly after.
How do they fill up so fast?
Then 7, 8, and 3. Modern ships are built to withstand 2 compartment breaches. These compartments especially, though, are
Big
a problem
hole.
because they contain the engines and the electrics. These main generators give power to
my
the whole
God.
ship. From propulsion motors to rudder to hotel.
That's literally giant electrical boxes in water. Is that Crash Bandicoot level in the sewers?
Functions. Pretty much everything. When they went out, the ship was a functionless, sinking cage.
Oh no.
A few seconds later, the emergency batteries for internal lighting and communications kick on.
Woohoo!
When
Someone
the
thought of
lights come
something
back
good.
on, Martin has vanished. He's ditched the stage. And it caused a huge panic in the theatre, as passengers are trying to flee to their cabins and to muster stations. People already in their cabins come
Ring
out
the
and start putting
bell! I used to do that all the time at Long John Silver's when I was a kid. I was so annoying.
on life vests. Staff rally and try to calm everyone down. Everything is fine. There's no need for vests. Please return to your cabins. The emergency generator starts.
Oh my
All of
god.
the watertight doors close
That
except
sounded like a Searle song.
for door 12, which is jammed. The captain calls Pilon, the chief engineer, as the ship begins to list on
Oh my
the
god, they're
port
about to
side.
shoot it with the
There's
bazooka.
water coming in?
Do they know that?
Yes, there's water. But where? The engine room. But a lot of water? Yes! There's water, you can't go down. Let's go down the other side.
At least like 3 gallons?
In a moment, we'll start the pumps, I'll let you know. In
Pump
the
up
theater,
the
the whole
jams.
magic box apparatus slides right off the stage and falls into the crowd, further increasing panic. On the bridge, an announcement is being prepared.
Oh my
They are going
god.
to lie to prevent a panic.
They have not made one right decision. What is the lie here? How? Guys, we decided since we've been having so much fun on this cruise, we wanted to make sure we brought the water park to you. Downstairs, we now have a built-in aquarium. Everybody go and check it out.
Let's just say we have a blackout. The deputy chief engineer enters the engine control room. He confirms to the bridge that at least compartments 5, 6, and 7 are flooded.
Holy!
Announcements are made.
The captain to inform you that due to an electrical fault which is currently under control, we're currently in a blackout. Our technicians are working to resolve the situation and will inform you of developments as they occur. Thank you for your attention.
He did not sound convinced.
Coincidentally, at the same time,
If he would have said that in like a what's it called? Chat the accent people used to have in like the 1950s. If he did that in like I think it's called like transatlantic. If he did that in like the transatlantic accent, everybody would have screamed and ran. It would have been way too reminiscent.
in the restaurant, they're playing My Heart Will Go On, and it's very much not helping this. At the same
No,
time,
they
in the
didn't.
restaurant, they're playing My Heart Will Go On, and it's very much not helping this
No way! They probably have those mother suckers with the violins on top too.
situation. The captain calls the Costa Crisis Unit, Roberto Ferrarini. He tells the crisis unit that they've hit a rock, that they're assessing damages, and that they are also in a blackout.
Okay.
The crisis office says to reverse the ship up onto shore. Well, how are you going to do that? You don't have power to the rudder, let alone
Yeah,
the engine.
you're screwed.
You know, hoist the sails? Anyway, around this time, the wind direction creates a starboard list, and the ship begins to turn anyway, drifting right back towards the shore, which is a
my
very good thing because you
God.
want the
And they got this on the same program they got the Santa tracker on.
ship to end up as close to shore as possible.
Santa, come save the day, please.
A panicked passenger senses that something is off. This isn't like any electrical problem that she's ever seen.
Yeah.
Plus, there was a massive crashing noise, and now the ship is tilting. So, she contacts her daughter in Italy. The daughter then calls the police, and the police call the harbour master.
Oh my god,
While that
finally,
goes
somebody
on,
does
a
something.
conversation between Pilon and Ambrosio. The diesel is not starting. The captain asks the engine room, but where have we made contact? Thinking that the incoming water can be reduced.
Yeah.
Captain, here everything is lost. The electrical panel, everything. They're
They need some Flex Seal, and they need it fast.
saying at this point that the ship is going down.
Yeah, it's
The captain
done.
calls Roberto Ferrarini again. Actually, 2 compartments have been flooded, but don't worry, the ship's stability isn't in danger.
He's wrong, it's 3 compartments. He's wrong again, the ship's stability is in danger.
Wrong. Passengers begin going to muster stations on their own initiative. The cruise director says, "We have a lot of people at muster stations that I do not want to fall overboard. Do we make an announcement to tell them to go to the lounges?" Bozio says, "I think that's best." The harbour master
Everybody, free margarita on me. You get 1 free margarita. Just make sure you go to the bar right now and don't look outside.
from Livorno calls the ship. The captain tells them that we just have a blackout. How long has this blackout been going on? About 20 minutes. Have you asked passengers to put on life vests? It's just a blackout. I gotta go. The harbour master is suspicious. He says to his superiors that he thinks
why?
something more is going on.
He's more scared about his job. He wanted to keep all the money he was making so he could buy more V-Bucks.
He calls a patrol boat to the area and asks them to look at the ship. Another problem. The fan on the emergency diesel generator isn't working properly.
Of course
Pilon
not.
manually has to turn the thing on and off with a screwdriver so that it doesn't overheat.
Okay, they are gonna get like 10 people downstairs to just like stand in front of it and go.
Cause a fire. The captain is on the phone to the lower decks, asking pointless questions like, is it still flooded? Yes. Yes, it is. The captain is essentially in denial of the situation. The harbour master calls again. Finally, he says, the ship is taking on water through an opening in the left side and the ship is listing. He qualifies with, no one dead or injured. The harbour master asks
How does
if
he
needs
know?
help. Just a tugboat? When in
What?
reality, they need a full rescue.
A tugboat? Are they gonna bring Thomas the Tank Engine's friends out here too? How the hell will one tugboat solve this problem?
With 3 compartments flooded, the captain finally realizes that things are really bad and they are not going to improve. The Coast Guard orders every available ship to the sea.
Send 'em out!
Meanwhile, up with the passengers, the cruise director's assistant says, everything's under control. Please return to your
Jammy
cabins
music.
or hang about in the lounges, no problem. She said this despite knowing it was wrong and that it further endangered lives. Most passengers at this point, though, aren't listening to this nonsense, and they're busy figuring out how to abandon ship. Bang, bang,
Yeah,
bang, bang, bang,
thank
bang,
God.
bang. Local television has already picked up the story, and they begin broadcasting live radio feed from the bridge.
Imagine just documenting this!
Captain, the passengers are going on board the boats. Okay, let them go to shore.
World Star,
So then
World
general
Star.
emergency? Wait, let me talk to Ferrarini. We risk the emergency generators that do not have cooling. It has
Oh,
cooling
God.
problems, 100 degrees. The cooling fan has stopped. Pilon calls the bridge and tells the safety officer they need to evacuate. The safety
Yeah.
officer relays this to the captain, but after no response, he orders the engine room to evacuate on his own. The captain says, no, stay. We're leaving.
And
So what do we
damn,
do?
get 'em!
General emergency? The captain tells Ferrarini that he's abandoning ship. Abandoned ship! Another announcement is made.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. The situation is under control. Please remain calm.
Damn, it said they're not gonna be calm!
But at this time, proceed to your muster station. They're located outside on deck 4.
The Livorno Coast Guard calls again. The
Oh,
captain
no.
declares distress. The Coast Guard officially calls for rescue operations. They contact Pietro Mille,
Wow.
the helicopter base commander, who then calls in every available pilot as he rushes down to the helicopter base. Pilon shuts down the emergency
Dang, they work quick! They're fast with it, man!
generator for the final time. The first rescue vessel arrives. By this point, the lifeboats are already going. Luckily, the
Remember when we played Titanic Roblox and then you guys told everybody on the server to not let any women or children on any of the lifeboats? Yeah, thanks for that, by the way. I had a good life in front of me, and you ruined it.
ship is very close to shore. Oh, perhaps too close to shore. The ship forcefully runs aground, creating an uneven center of gravity. And it begins heavily listing starboard. The captain issues a general emergency on board. The announcement to abandon
Guys, see, being short is good here because I have a lower center of gravity, which means that I can stick on to the boat better than the rest of you.
ship is finally called and alarms ring out. And with that comes panic. And now that they're listing, with many of the lifeboats too awkwardly positioned to enter the water, there aren't enough readily available and they have to start going back and forth to the shore, picking people up and dropping them off. The patrol
I thought they were gonna be like me with the groceries all in one trip.
boats report to the Livorno harbour master that the ship has run aground and is listing heavily. So the harbour master asks the captain about it, and the captain
Oh,
says, no, the ship is still floating. In fact, we're trying to
technically-
maneuver it onto the shore. They know he's lying. Hold on, I'm reversing it. Beep, 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 beep. The captain then says to bottom
He's gonna throw it back?
out the starboard anchor. So they drop out the anchors, but let out too much chain, effectively rendering them useless. The deputy mayor of Giglio,
How can they do nothing right?
Mario Pellegrini, and tobacco shop owner Giovanni Rossi arrive at the harbour. They watch the scene unfold. As the first of the
Oh,
lifeboats
God.
arrive on shore, the deputy mayor takes the initiative and races to board one of the lifeboats, returning to the ship, and starts trying to find someone in charge. He gives up and starts helping passengers. Scatino tells everyone to leave and take radios. but not before changing out of his uniform and into a nice suit.
Why?
Priorities.
I am one classy mother sucker, and everybody gonna know it. I just got this on sale at Macy's.
Dimitri Christidis and Sylvia Koronica
He's
leave with him.
Corpa.
The maitre d' and Sir Morton both get out of there. By this point, approximately
Oh my
300 people
God.
are still on the ship. Melee reaches the helicopter base.
This looks like
The first
GTA.
helicopter, a slow-moving Augusta Bell, was already rising from the tarmac for the hour-long flight south.
Oh,
Bozio is the
hour?
last crew member left on the bridge, coordinating evacuation. He then leaves to help passengers board lifeboats. The bridge is now abandoned. And then, the ship's black box stops working.
That could happen? I thought that was the one thing that could never happen. Don't these things, like, go through explosions?
Apparently there were technical problems with it. That means, from here, things are going to get a little foggy in detail. A while
He probably put that USB we used to use back in the day when I was a youngin' with Halo on it. And instead of paying attention to the vitals of the ship, he was playing Halo on the USB.
later, rescue
It all
helicopters
makes
arrive,
sense.
but they're struggling to find the ship because they're expecting it to still be well above water.
Yeah.
Passengers are scaling down the port side by ladder as
This is
lifeboats return to
terrifying.
pick them up.
This is no joke. Oh my goodness. It was no joke, mi amor.
I didn't say it was a joke. Oh, there she is!
Yes,
He's not allowed to make a film
I'm
movie.
allowed.
What? You're not allowed to record? Does she think she's target?
I'm allowed.
Who say you are?
A second helicopter, a faster model, sets off. The ship stops healing and comes to a final resting place.
Uh-oh.
Now the Coast Guard calls the captain because he's just learned that the
Hello?
captain has abandoned ship. The captain claims, no, actually I slipped and I fell into one of the lifeboats. I'm quite...
I don't know what happened, man. There was just all the ravioli on the ground. It was Chef Boyardee. You know that shit's slimy.
But now that I'm on board, I may as well head back to shore. DeFalco tells the captain to get the fuck back on board.
Yeah.
And the captain kind
Yeah,
of acts
base!
confused and then effectively refuses. So the captain makes it to shore. From here, we only have mainstream news reports to rely on, so it's not going to be super accurate. But they say that Giglio's police chief then finds 110 survivors on the rocks at Point Gabbianara.
Okay.
And among them is the captain. It's not known whether the captain helped anyone while he was there, and in fact, the police chief claimed that he just sat on the rocks and watched other people do the rescuing.
No shot. He just sat there and observed. Good.
A while later, a rescue boat picks up the captain and takes him to the harbor. He speaks to the police. He then finds the ship's onboard chaplain, Father Rafael Molina, and cried to him for about 15 minutes.
What? What? Okay, his complaints couldn't have been, I can't believe this happened. His complaints were probably like, I'm gonna lose my mansion. I'm gonna lose my Fortnite account.
Then he goes to the harbor master's office to receive probably the biggest dressing down of his entire life. Port authorities ask the taxi driver to take the captain back to his hotel.
Oh no. What are they gonna do to him? What are they gonna do to him?
The captain takes the 30-second cab ride to the Bahamas hotel. According to the cabbie, he was beaten like a dog. He was cold and afraid. He
Oh my
only asked
God.
where he could buy a pair of fresh socks.
That's what he cares about! His feet are squishy! He's got squishy feet! He's scared of athlete's foot!
But then he perked right up again and gave an interview to a news crew.
You know, I will be honest, wet socks are pretty bad. Yeah, yep, that's pretty bad.
He told them that he was the last to leave.
The captain is usually the last to abandon ship.
Yeah!
What happened, Captain?
Siamo stati gli ultimi.
We were the last to leave the ship.
Uh-huh. The excessive blinking.
They said they rescue and search for people on the ship. On Sunday morning, a South Korean couple is found in their cabin, safe but shivering. They had slept through the crash and
I wish I could sleep like this, man.
woke up unable to exit their cabin.
The last survivor, Manrico Giampandroni, was found with a broken leg. He was the cabin's service director. In the end, 32 people died. The final body wasn't discovered until nearly 3 years later.
What? Oh my god.
A crew member, Russell Rebello, and it's believed that he died a hero helping passengers off the ship.
He helped people.
The Cost of Concordia was the largest cruise ship disaster since the Titanic. And then there's the ship. This is what happens to a 110,000-ton cruise liner when it's left half rolled over in the ocean.
This looks like The Last of Us. Look at how beautiful she was. She was so beautiful. Now that looks like my room normally. That's exactly what my house looks like. Oh my god. Goodbye, beautiful ship. Wow. You think the property brothers want to flip that? Not literally, like it definitely didn't literally need to be flipped, but maybe they see a good investment in this property.
But this isn't the end. It's just the halfway point. What most people know is that the Costa Concordia had crashed, many dead, and that the captain abandoned ship like a coward. But there's a whole veritable spaghetti of details to untangle. Let's dive in.
Ew, ew.
There they are. The deets.
Oh, that's his hands! Hand cam. Hand cam. Do a flip! Oh! Oh no, they're gonna do what they did to my school. Guys, I had so many people in my school when I was a kid that would go up on the top of the roof and they would steal the copper wires. Ah. Naughty Dog presents.
The Costa Concordia was more than just a floating resort.
Why? Because they would sell the copper off the roof of my school.
The mall. A casino. Cha-ching, cha-ching. This iron chest was full of safes and cash registers
I
and
like the loot
expensive
boxes.
fittings.
I don't care.
And there were plenty of gamers prepared to sneak by authorities and try their luck in the hot zone.
Subnautica!
Within days, police divers reported that valuable items, once seen lying around the ship, were now missing. High-end liquor, expensive furniture, dining sets, cash from the casino, cash registers, jewelry and display cabinets, safes, Japanese woodblock prints by famous 18th century artists.
That's huge.
As well as the iconic bell, which hung from the bridge of the ship. It was never found.
I guess they just keep it. It's not like you can sell it. I mean, I guess you could, like, sell it on the low.
Who steals a big fuck-off bell? Even
Me every time I play Minecraft and I see the bell in the village.
4 divers who were part of the company contracted to refloat the Concordia were spotted on CCTV, sneaking out to the ship. A patrol boat was dispatched, and the men were caught inside the fancy suites with rucksacks full of stolen goods.
Nobody was using it!
The 4 men are charged with stealing and thieving and pinching.
Maybe they can walk around in there and level up their sneak for a bit. I mean, every bad thing has a good ending if you try really hard.
Later on, stolen as well as legitimate items found their way to Amazon and eBay. Chips from the casino, postcards, and cabin access cards became highly sought after souvenirs.
Maybe they just already had that, though.
It even has a watermark.
Some Australian guy even made a listing for the ship itself.
Buyer to collect. Well, I mean, maybe you could bring out like a couple tugboats. Only 1,000! Only 1,000! What the? Guys, I am painfully American. What do you call Australia America money? What do you call this? Australia dollars? Oh, it's just Australian dollars or dollary dues. Okay. And there's 57 people who bid on it.
Advertising it as buyer to collect. And although there were plenty of bidders, eBay pulled the plug.
No! Okay, I can't call them dollars because I don't have the pass. I live in America.
I know you want to see Scatino go to jail, and we'll get to that.
Yeah,
but first,
jail
we
him!
have to talk about someone else. Dominica.
That is the saddest face I've ever seen. We've been watching a lot of YouTuber apologies, but how does a corpo apology compare? Let's see.
Sir Morton.
That was a close one.
There was speculation that she was on the bridge that evening because she was the captain's mistress.
Oh my god, he was fucking her and he fucked up his job. It was like a threesome up there.
Tense media speculation reports that her presence distracted the captain.
They both denied.
I was drinking my water. Ain't no shot. That's an excuse. Ain't no way.
Speculation reports that her presence distracted the captain.
Didn't this also happen with another famous big ship? And a woman?
They both denied their love for years and maintained that they were just friends. Although she did later admit to the media that she found him handsome.
Ooh.
And how could you not?
You so fucking precious when you smile.
But she says there was no
Oh my god, fishing for grilled cheese, enjoy your nothing.
romantic link between them.
Some people would like to believe, they want to know I have something with him. It's more interesting.
She love this. Look at the way she's talking about it. She's gonna love this. Oh my god.
It's like, you know, some...
She can be writing a book, tweeting.
Spicy in the story.
Mr. Morton also loved the spotlight, however,
Yeah, I could tell.
and took several interviews.
Wow! Press door, press door, press door.
But as the pressure mounted upon her,
Every person in this video is staring at me with laser eyes.
she began making ominous threats to Scatino.
I give you just 1 week to tell the truth about what happened immediately after the announcement to abandon ship. 1 week. 50 likes.
Saying he must confess, and that you have but 1 week to come clean. But things from here get weird.
Spicy.
Sir Morton is a bit of a wild card.
Oh my god, she's smoking. Grape classic.
In a subsequent interview, she claimed a helicopter came to the ship well before the other rescue craft to take away a package. Huh?
Okay.
And what was that package? Drugs, apparently.
Why?
So rumors began that the ship was running narcotics for the mafia.
What?
And not without cause. A number of cruise ships, even recently, have been caught trafficking drugs.
This is
As
real?
an aside, Scatino was
Okay, guys, I have a really bad question. What happens if you, like, dun 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 dun, blah, 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 somebody on a ship? Like, who is there like laws for dun 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 dun? Blah, 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 blah. There's a jail. You go to ship prison, but like, how do they? Whose law? Like, how long do you go to jail? International waters. Do you think a lot of people DIE on cruise ships from like killers? They all have morgues. Usually the boat's country. Ah, I mean, I'm not planning on this. I was just curious because they were talking about the drugs. I was like, how do you go to jail? Whose jail do you go to?
tested for drugs immediately after the crash. He tested negative for drugs in his system, but
Okay.
trace amounts of cocaine were found in a hair sample.
Oh!
Makes it smoother and less dry.
Nonetheless, the Concordia was searched and no drugs were reportedly ever found.
Okay.
How did we get here?
I mean, probably not. They probably took them all when they were down there. They were like, jackpot! Cha-ching!
Oh, right, a helicopter. Sir Morton commented on it again
Forgot
the
about
next day
that.
and said, actually, that helicopter was just for the captain as a means of evacuation from the ship.
Oh.
Okay, wait. So she expected to get some sort of first-class rescue while everyone
That is an expensive Uber.
else was still stuck on the ship? Wait, how did we get here? Oh, right, sex with the captain.
Yeah!
Divers were quick to head to the captain's cabin where they found Miss Sir Morton's lingerie and other articles of clothing as well as a makeup bag. The jig was up.
Not the
but they
Jeffree Star
continued
makeup
denying it.
bag.
Sir Morton mostly faded from international attention until
No, that's like death to her. She wants people to be yapping about her.
she was told to appear before the court to present witness testimony. The judge pressed her to be truthful about their relationship, or she would be held in contempt.
Either tell me the truth or shut up.
So finally, she admitted it.
Yes, I had a sentimental relationship with the captain.
Sorry, the aiming's a little hard with my 3D setup, but...
Stop. But now, stop asking about my private life.
She was indeed the captain's lover.
What is up? Trouble Alert Nation! Scatino cheated on his wife with Seymour Tan. Oh my god!
She and Scatino had been having an affair for several weeks. She also said that on the night she boarded, she didn't have a ticket.
Ticket, please.
And didn't need to pay because nobody questions you when you're the captain's lover. Naturally, she gave another confusing interview after leaving court.
I want to say that today is the second time I die because the first time I died in the night of the crash with my psychological brain and problems. And today I died the second time because, of course, people...
Me when I have to explain why I revived in League and ran under tower anyway.
Find out something that I try to hide.
Subsequent to the trial, she used her fame in Moldova to become a political activist, often appearing on television and radio and in articles covering protests.
She's a political activist now?
Accompanied by pictures of her being arrested by police.
You know that this body cam video went wild for React Andes.
It was some stuff about victims of violence, women's rights,
Girl power.
yada yada yada. And interestingly, part of a push to block the sale of shares of Moldova's train network to Russia.
Sure.
Other than that, I don't really know what she's been up to. Let me just check on her Inst. Oh, God.
What can I say? She loves the cockpit.
Oh, not again. Several civil suits were quickly lodged against Cost of Concordia. Their parent company, Carnival Cruises, immediately saw a share drop of 23%.
Holy crap!
Don't beat.
Passengers sought compensation for their damaged mental health, lost belongings, and loved ones.
Either they allowed him to divert from his course, or they didn't know where their billion-dollar ship was.
Within a few days, facing financial and media pressure, the CEO attempted to join the bandwagon against the captain and the crew.
That was not the ordinary route that the ship was taking at the time, and was not only taking, but the time the ship was...
Today, Junior!
That's like my dad's favorite movie. I've seen that movie at least 900 times.
Claiming that the ship was not approved to deviate from the route. But that wasn't true. Approval isn't required if the ship is deviating by less than 15 miles, or that it was against company rules. Also untrue, because investigators found that they didn't have any rules about deviating route, and they tacitly encouraged sail-by salutes. Now, in response to
that is horrible. I would hate living there and just hearing brr, 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 every day. That would suck.
the civil suits, Cost of Concordia
like,
offered passengers
do truck drivers still do that?
€11,000 each as compensation.
That's kind of small.
11,000 euros, about $14,000, is the minimum compensation under international law when a ship is abandoned.
This was to reimburse them for their tickets, as well as any costs they accrued in having to unexpectedly travel home early.
I'm gonna need at least 25.
That was supposed to release them from everything and anything that has to do with this accident. I cannot ask for more than this.
A lot of passengers, understandably, were not too happy with this deal, and they refused to take the money.
We think the offer is an insult for what these poor passengers went through. We
get
think
him,
that the compensation being offered is not commensurate.
Yes.
Here, take it. Compensation being offered is not commensurate.
Later, Cost of Concordia would lodge a plea deal with the Tuscany court to pay a €1 million fine to avoid a criminal trial. The judge agrees. Cost of Concordia is now off the hook for all criminal liability.
What the my god, how did this happen? And my America brain was like, sue, 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 sue. Wow.
For the whole thing. They've washed their hands of the incident
That's
and flexed the
horrible.
residual droplets of responsibility onto the faces
They should all have to wear wet socks for the rest of their life.
of 6 staff members. Passengers and relatives of the dead are livid that the company has been able to avoid criminal responsibility.
Offered is not commensurate.
Civil suits against the company continue. By the way, the residents of the island of Giglio also banded together and sought damages. They didn't get much.
Oh.
Eventually, passengers who refused the initial compensation of $11,000 joined civil parties against Scatino in his trial in 2015. They were awarded €30,000 each. Other cases, especially those involving lost relatives, are settled for undisclosed amounts.
Ooh, how much do you think that was? Maybe like 100? They seem kind of cheap. How much do you think they paid for that?
New York attorney Peter Renee traveled to Budapest to represent 6 real survivors of the disaster.
At Renee, we personally work on every case.
And we'll work harder than anyone to
my
get
arm
you the
broke
most
again.
money possible in the shortest amount of time.
And while on the job, a 7th case cropped up.
Is that Asmongold?
Via email. An elderly woman, alone, said,
"Help me, Mr. Ronai, for I have lost my daughter, Eva, and my 5-year-old granddaughter, Roxana."
So Mr. Renai agreed to speak with her. However, there were some inconsistencies in her story. Neither Eva nor Roxana were on the passenger list.
Interesting.
But Costa is known for having stowaways.
Gotcha, bitch.
Still, Mr. Renai was
How hard is it to be a stowaway? Like, you can just, like, hop on and people just don't know?
suspicious. They wouldn't cheaty old Petey, would they? Renai inquired further about why she was on board, especially without a ticket. Ilona said,
"Well, I don't know, but you should ask her boyfriend.
Zolt Horvath.
He'll know all the details."
I'm up all night. I'm going crazy, he said. But Mr. Renai was still suspicious. Because then she asked, how much money do you think this is worth?
Is this what I just gotta start doing, chat, so I can buy my magical cube?
This is a huge red flag, Petey. In 20 years of doing this, you've never had anyone ask about money. Why now? So Mr. Renai hired an investigator and sent photos around of the missing girl. The next day, the phone rang. Oh, hoi hoi. It was the boyfriend again.
Oh, hi.
There's been a bit of a misunderstanding and the child isn't missing at all. Uh-huh. And then he claimed he was confused because he had done too many drugs the night before.
What?
Oh. Okay, can I speak to the daughter then?
Is everybody doing drugs all the time?
At first, he was refused. So Renai said that he'd have to file a missing persons report to the police if he couldn't. The boyfriend relented. That night, Renai met with Zolt and brought the police with him. He speaks to the granddaughter and asks her if she's seen Mum. Yeah, I saw her today. Oh, really? Yeah, we went to the park today and we went on the swings. Oh no, the jig was up.
My sister used to do that. I remember one time we went to a restaurant, and it was like a buffet thing when I was a kid. And they were like, "Oh, are you under 5?" They were like asking her how old she was, and she went, "No, I'm actually 7." And my mom was mad because she wanted to pay like $5 instead of like $15.
So the mum walks into the room sheepishly. It's a miracle. And the story changed again. Okay, I'm not dead, but I did injure my leg when I jumped from the ship. And then I immediately flew back to Budapest. Although don't worry about checking my leg because there are no visible marks or anything.
She has beautiful feet. Can I say that as like a compliment without sounding weird?
I think they weren't even on the boat. Also, it turns out this
Am I
lady
allowed to
isn't
say
her mum,
that?
it's just a neighbor. Saw her today. Oh, really? Yeah, we went to the park today and we went on the swings. Oh no, the jig was up. So the mum walks into the room sheepishly. It's a miracle. And the story changed immediately.
I swear I didn't do that to look at her feet again.
Managed to make the money. And in the end, it looks like there'll be no criminal punishment for the scam because Hungary, a former communist country, has no laws against insurance fraud on the books.
They don't? Like, still? Can I still go there and do that?
The law firm that never sleeps. Call 1-800-6647.
Oh, that's a bad idea. Oh, that's a very bad idea.
likes to go to bed.
Mario, would you teach me some Italian?
Oh, of course. Means get back on board for fuck's sake.
Okay, thanks.
Gregorio De Falco, the naval officer who shouted at Schettino to "Vada a bordo caso," became a bit of a national hero overnight in Italy.
Oh, wow!
He, like the rest of the world, expected Schettino to go down with the ship. And when the captain chickened out, De Falco was there to admonish him. And when he stopped answering the radio, he called him on his cell phone to continue putting
the IRL harassment.
him on blast. When the captain first reported
like him, he's
just a
based.
blackout, De Falco didn't believe the story and immediately began preparing a rescue effort, which likely saved several lives. His actions
Clap for that guy! Wow!
were applauded by most Italians who were tired of their public servants
Falco punched him. Wait. Captain Falco. He's a captain too.
being corrupt and avoiding responsibility. Accordingly, shirts sporting "Vada a bordo caso" were being printed by the end of the week, others setting it as their phone's ringtone.
He's like a May-May or whatever the kids say.
In September 2014, without warning, De Falco was transferred to an admin role in the Coast Guard.
I never get my nails done. Guys, I have the shortest nails in the entire world, but it's because every time I do my nails, I have to rip them off because I can't type with nails on. I can't. Like, this is like a superhuman power.
Hear what I said? You've been demoted.
De Falco said that he had been passed up for promotion, that he had also not been told which admin office he was even being transferred to.
That's
and that it all
horrible.
effectively cancelled 10 years of his career. De Falco was Tres Furioso. And there was public speculation that it was owing to bad blood between himself and Admiral Delano.
But he saved the day, man! Why do people who do the right thing always get punished?
His former boss. His status among the public overshadowed his superior in many ways.
Oh my God.
On the other hand, his boss said, no, it's part of a normal career progression
This is just ego political stuff.
for naval officers, and that he must show more maturity and professionalism to advance his career. Now, it's hard to know what's true in office politics, so let's leave that alone. And anyway, in 2018, De Falco said "Buenas noches, ya later" to the Italian Navy to become a politician. In March that year, he was elected to the Italian Senate, serving as a member for Livorno. He still serves there today.
Wow. I'm sorry, I always pause on like the most horrible story. But wow, he did something though.
I'm the captain now.
I would have cried myself. Is that Goosebumps? Oh my God, I have a really weird Goosebumps story. Sometime, actually, I won't even tell this because if this is going to be on the React channel, I'd rather people not know this about me.
The day after the disaster, Schettino was taken into custody by police and underwent questioning. However, it was clear that this would not be a straightforward investigation. So the judge released him under house arrest at his home in Sorrento, a town in Napoli. By July of that year, the house arrest was relaxed and he was allowed within this general area.
Oh, wait. So if you're on house arrest, do they just like give you like, I know you get like an ankle monitor, right? But what happens if you go outside? Does it explode? Like, do you just lose your leg?
While under house arrest, he wrote a book with this journalist from Rai magazine. I have no idea what it says, I don't speak Italian. But goddammit, he must have some kind of charisma going on, because there's been a lot of speculation in the press that he had an affair with her as well.
Oh my God! This guy's thinking with his wee-wee all the time. He wee-wee-wee. It's all wee-wee thinking.
Well,
You can't keep getting away with it.
hold on, I got it. Not content with abandoning his ship, this dude is determined to abandon his wife as well. So, Schettino and five others are facing criminal charges. Straight away, everyone lodges a plea bargain with the court. And all of those plea bargains are accepted, except for Schettino's. And the condition of everyone's reduced sentences are that they must provide witness testimony against Schettino.
He touched me.
Ciro, Jacob, and Silvia were all given suspended sentences.
Wow, wow, 2 years, 10 months, 1 year, 8 months, 1 year, 6 months.
Roberto and Manrico are able to opt for community service or house arrest. Not a bad deal.
Oh, that was the monitor I told you guys that I thought exploded.
A good deal. Good deal. And that
Good
meant
deal.
that Scatino was now all on his own.
Yeah,
Ciro,
get him,
the
get him,
first
get him,
officer,
get him.
was the first to give his testimony.
They gotta get Phoenix right up in this bitch.
On the witness stand, he claimed that Scatino was distracted by his mistress and other guests on the bridge.
What?
That there was confusion over who was in command. Then it was Jacob's turn. And he said, Lamau XD, because he didn't actually bother with his testimony or his reduced sentence. He just fled the country. It took authorities 12 months to eventually track him.
Oh my God, guys. I know this sounds bad, but when I saw this, I thought he, like, Sudoku'd. But he was just leaving. I was like, oh my God, he Sudoku'd?
Or his reduced sentence. He just fled the country. It took authorities 12 months to eventually track him down on the outskirts of Jakarta. And when they said, "Oi, we still want that witness testimony," he just scalped again. And he hasn't been found since.
He's still missing? Oh my God. How do you avoid that? Like, how do you avoid the police? I, like, steal $10 from somebody one time in Oblivion and I come back 40 years later and they're, like, already on my ass.
After that, Ferrarini...
He could be in this chat. He could be me.
gave his testimony, then look, we don't have time to relitigate the whole trial, so let's just go straight to the verdict. Guilty! Scatino was found guilty of multiple manslaughter, causing a shipwreck, abandoning ship, and lying to authority.
Abandoning ship is a crime? I thought it was just BM. I didn't know it was a crime.
He is sentenced to 16 years and...
Guys, 32 people died because of his negligence. He gets 16 years. We just watched a video last week of a guy who went to go touch people's feet, and he got 20 years in prison. Oh my God.
1 month in prison.
Oh, sorry, I meant 1 month. Okay, now that totally makes sense. Yeah, that's way better.
But wait, there's still the appeals. The appeals trial begins. And the verdict on the appeal? Surprise! Rejected. So Scatino's lawyers appealed again. And the verdict on the final appeal...
is...
Scatino made multiple attempts to secure a plea deal, but was denied by the prosecution each time. The prosecution called for Scatino to be sentenced to...
Chad, is he Italian, right? I totally forgot, and then I saw him moving his hands talking in this picture, and I was like, he's Italian. Look at it, he's just so expressive with his hands.
Deal, but was denied by the prosecution each time. The prosecution called for Scatino to be sentenced to 26 years in prison, calling the incident a Titanic affair.
Oh, okay. I see what you did there.
Scatino was not present. His lawyers stated that he was waiting outside of the jail for the ruling, so that if his plea was rejected, he could immediately start serving his sentence.
He wanted a frame 1 star.
And with that, 5 years and 4 months after the disaster, he was finally in a cell.
Oh my God, I thought he was gonna get out. I was really scared.
I will not be making any comments.
Barry, how do you feel about being the age of MILF performers in adult videos? Am I that old?
Huh?
Am I that old?
Huh?
VIP, by the way.
The salvage operation was enormous. It took over 2 years and cost an estimated $1.2 billion. Beginning in early 2012, they first spent 2 months pumping fuel from the ship's tanks. At the same time,
Is fuel still good if it's underwater? I just, like, don't really know. And I would like to know because I think that's an impressive fun fact.
they had to pump seawater in so that the balance wasn't affected and the ship didn't slide around. In early 2013, a platform was built
Probably could remake it good. It doesn't mix? Oh, interesting. Sorry.
under the ship to prevent it from falling further. Sponsons were then attached to the sides of the ship and cables attached to the underwater platform. The sponsons were then dragged underwater and opened up to allow the ocean to fill up.
This is another weird take that I have. Oh, did I break? Oh, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Like, imagine we all started with sticks and rocks. And they made this. And they made people that can lift this out of the water. We had sticks and rocks. Innovation's insane to me.
The ship could then roll over properly. By late 2013, the ship was upright once more. The sponsons were then attached to the side of the ship to help keep it balanced. It now rested partially above water and crews could walk around safely. By July 2014, the water was removed from...
Just wait till the Bronze Age. Shit's crazy. I've been waiting for the Bronze Age. Bronze Age update, man. It's gonna go nuts.
Ayo refreshed and it's reset time apparently. Crepe.
Can we get a crepe in the chat for Butcher? Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
From the sponsons.
I still have sticks and rocks. Enjoy your nothing. I don't know why it's echoing. I think I fixed it.
And compressed air was pumped in to lift the ship. And she was ready to cruise again. This time to a port in Genoa. It was a 4-day towing journey to the docks where a 2-year process of dismantling and recycling would begin. That same weekend of the towing, Scatino was busy. He was the guest of honor at a white party on an island in the Bay of Naples. He appeared on the front page of a local newspaper, flanked by 2 of Italy's most
at the Jared Leto party. The end.
Anyway, so these are the things that I remember from the Cost of Concordia. That sweet Maiden of the Sea.
Yeah, with that awesome bell, like they had at Long John Silver's. He put that in his ass? Oh.
Well, it's time to return you.
He's going home!
From whence you came.
He's gonna go home! It's so wet!
6 quick things. 1. NordVPN, good product, check them out. Number 2, there's a new video on the second channel. You probably didn't see it because it was temporarily restricted. Now it's not. Enjoy. 3, if you've never seen the second channel before, give it a go. It's a different type of content, but we put a lot of production into it. It's not just offcuts. 4, there are a couple of secret channels as well, but I ain't telling you.
This was a good video, chat. I liked it. You guys have good recommendations. This was fun. Thank you for recommending this video. It was good. It was good. I like that it's funny, and I like that they put little things on the screen because I can't pay attention that long.